Yeah, it's a language, right? So, like everything, unless you know the language, unless you know the spelling, the alphabet, the grammar, you're not going to know how to put together a sentence. So, when you're using mathematics, no matter what you're using in that field, you're going to be exposed to different theories, equations, approaches. So you just learn that over time, right? You once you do a calculation for determining what the length of a triangle is, right? You remember that, and then when you come across the need to determine the length of a triangle, then you know the equation exists. Either you remember it from school, or you just look it up real quick, and then you apply that mathematical formula to solve that equation.
Okay, and Dale, you're a different kind of mathematician, but you do programming and is it called program when you write software? What is it that you actually do? You tech guys, you
Uh, Either computer programming or software developer.
okay? Still fun,
So,
right?
oh yeah, yeah, 100%. Well, I mean, programming is more of like science with a mixture of creativity. But at the end of the day, it has to make mathematical sense because everything you're doing on a computer is basically narrows down to ones and zeros. But I would say, I mean, I think from my understanding, you're probably born with this position of probably like maybe you have an inclination towards math versus English. Because I know like in English classes I struggled, but in math classes I just naturally excelled. But one of the things I ended up realizing in math was that while I was working through it was that one, I need to understand the formula that applies to the issue, and then understand the variables that goes with it. Because I actually noticed that when I was younger, I used to have problems with in math with word problems because the words would kind of throw me off. But then once I immediately figured out what the formula is, it was not just a matter of finding the variables. And in math, it's very similar to law too, as well, because like you just don't use one formula for everything. You have a formula for finding distance, time. You have a formula for finding the area of a triangle, of a circle, and things like that. But basically, is what you're trying to accomplish. Then you find the formula that applies and the variables that go into it. Once you do that, it to me it's pretty much one plus one always equals two. And if it doesn't, then you have a problem.
Unfortunately, we would think that with law it would be that simple, and like we said, the prerequisite. Like I'm looking back to the requisites of fraud as here in this Florida Bar Journal, which hasn't really changed very much, and we're gonna go through that. The requisite fraud on the court occurs when it can be demonstrated, which there goes to the specificity, clearly and convincingly that a party has succinctly set in motion some unconscionable scheme calculated to interfere with the judicial system's ability impartially to adjudicate a matter by improperly influence the trier of fact, which could be the judge or the jury, or unfairly hampering the presentation of the opposing party's claim or defense. And as you can see, the case law, I would say if I were in a courtroom and it was clearly stated that this constitutes fraud, and I go to a dude versus the mobile oil company, but I say 892 F.2D 1115, comma 1118, and that would take them directly to that particular case citing, as we all know. So we kind of have an idea what it is. And so let's go back to where we were here, and I just lay out the facts, and you can see the facts are simple. Mrs. Tucker, this is, in fact, was even crazy. I'm gonna show you. They actually admitted negligence, and how we didn't get this thing done is another issue. But